All right, we're going to begin the skill measuring blood pressure now. So for this skill, the equipment you need to assemble is your stethoscope and your blood pressure cuff, and you need alcohol wipes as well. So I have all that with me. My nurse evaluator is here, and he'll be listening to the blood pressure with me, ready to check me off and make sure that I do all the steps, not just the blood pressure correctly. So the steps include your pre-procedure actions and your post-procedure actions. So we'll begin now. Knock, pause, and enter. Hello, Mr. King. My name is Ann, and I'll be checking your blood pressure today. I'm going to do my peanut butter sandwich as I do at the beginning and end of each skill, so I provided privacy. The bed is low, and it is locked. Here's your call light, and wash my hands. So now I'm ready to begin the skill. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and clean my stethoscope. I'm going to clean my earpieces, and I also want to go ahead and clean my nurse evaluator's earpieces as well. We're going to clean the diaphragm portion, this flat portion of the stethoscope here, and we're ready to get our blood pressure cuff out. Now this is a step that's easy to miss on this skill. You have to position arm palm up. You have to have upper arm exposed. Most students forget to raise the sleeve up so the upper arm is exposed. Position arm palm up. Now I'm going to feel for his brachial pulse, so the inner aspect of the bend of the elbow. That is the way the step reads. The nurse evaluator will not go behind you and find this brachial pulse, but she will notice if you are feeling on the outer aspect instead of the inner. You will find this pulse on the inner aspect of the bend of the elbow, and here's Mr. King's pulse here. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the cuff so that the artery arrow is pointing toward the brachial artery that I've just found. I want to put this cuff snugly on his arm, and I want to make sure that this is pointing toward his brachial artery and his arm is still positioned palm up. So I can see my gauge here. I close my valve by twisting it to the right, and I want to make sure I can easily open this valve one-handed. That is key. You don't want to have to use your other hand to open this valve. One-handed opening. Because your other hand is going to be busy, as you will see now. So I will give my nurse evaluator some earpieces, and we always point our earpieces forward so that we can hear best. So they're going to be pointing more toward your nose as you put them in your ears. All right, now I'm going to put the stethoscope on his brachial artery, and I'm going to pump the cuff up to 170. The CNA test reads you will pump between 160 and 180. So we are going to pump to 170. We're going to release the air slowly, listening for our first beat and our last beat. We can take our earpieces out. The first thing I want to do before I forget my number, wash hands, write it down on the piece of paper my nurse evaluator gives me to write it down on. I need to be plus or minus 8 millimeters of mercury from my evaluator's reading. So I remove the cuff, and I'm ready to finish up and do my post-procedure actions. Remember, this is always peanut butter sandwich. Remove privacy. Ensure the bed is low and it is locked. Mr. King, where's your call light? He has his call light, and I'm going to wash my hands. And that concludes the blood pressure skill. Position palm up, upper arm is exposed. We feel for the brachial pulse on the inner aspect of the bend of the elbow. We make sure that when we position our cuff, the arrow is pointing toward the arrow. Here is pointing toward where we found the brachial artery on the inner aspect of the bend of the elbow. We position the cuff snugly. And you always want to have a little bit of space here so you don't have to put your stethoscope up underneath your cuff. that makes more noise and it makes it harder to hear. So position your cuff about an inch above where you felt the brachial pulse. So now we're ready to listen, and we want to have our earpieces pointed forward so that we can hear through our stethoscope. All right, now we're ready to begin. We're going to pump the cuff up to 170. I've got my valve closed, but not tight. I can open it one-handed. Here we go. I'm pumping the cuff up to 170. Here it is at 170. I'm releasing the air slowly, listening for my first beat. My first beat was at 134. My last beat was at 104. After I listen a little longer, I'm going to release all my air. Now I'm ready to wash hands and write it down, 134 over 104. Now I'm going to remove the cuff and do my post-procedure actions.